Okay, recording started. Hello, I'm Łukasz. It's a public AsyncAPI meeting. For those watching recording, today's meeting is with me, Łukasz, Fran, Paul, who joined us from Australia, and Jonas, who joined us from Denmark. We had 2 items on the agenda, but also Paul a few hours ago added another item. So the items are, the first one is I'm gonna just give you an update on the preparation for the Hacktoberfest. The second item is suggested by Jonas about the update on where he stands with his work on the templates for the nuts, and his work on the binding definition for nuts. And the last will be what Paul wrote, asking about the progress and how the discussion, how we will continue with the discussion about the view property. It's a, for those who don't know what it's about, it's a issue created by Michael from Solus a few months ago about adding a view property to the spec to address the confusion around publish and subscribe operation. So the first topic, Hacktoberfest. So the Hacktoberfest starts on Thursday, 1st of October. At the moment, I'm ready with a blog post that introduces our how we participate in the event. It's not yet reviewed and approved, but it's I have it. I'm just waiting for a much better graphic that Fran will work on for me, because I suck at graphics. So that part is done. So the written communication. I also finished working on the set of issues for Hacktoberfest participants. We're going to have around 75 issues with different difficulty. Most of them, of course, are trivial and easy, but there are some moderate as well, or more demanding. So, and it's not only coding, it's docs and CI. So I think we can attract many different people that take part in this event. What left is a set of videos that I will start recording after this meeting, because I want to make onboarding to the community and the event as easy as possible. So I'm gonna have a short video about AsyncAPI, short video about Hacktoberfest and why we are joining. There will be also a video about all the issues that we have. I'll just explain how to understand how easy are the easy ones, how difficult are the difficult ones. We already agreed also with Fran on the schedule for the office hours, because we want to make it as easy as possible for people to interact with us in case they need some support with the issues, or they want to do maybe even pair programming, remote pair programming. So we're going to host a office hours twice a week throughout the entire October. So that's also done. And then also there's going to be a video about how to quickly fork a repo and set up a work with the repo. And that's it. So Tuesday, Wednesday left for the videos and finishing out the stuff. So I think we're gonna make it to kick off on the 1st of October. Any questions?
No questions, but I'm glad to hear there's some tasks I can help with, because I'm not a coder, right? So that's good.
There will be.
Great.
Yeah, okay, no questions. I'm actually this is This is great, actually, and thanks for bringing this to the agenda of AsyncAPI, right? Like to work or to participate on Hacktoberfest. I think this is great.
Okay. Thank you. So Jonas, would you like to continue?
Yeah, sure. I don't know what
you want to share a screen or?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure if we get anything out of just showing a screen though, but I can do it.
Okay, then I'll give you a co-host. Do you have access to screen sharing or?
Nah, it's disabled.
Okay, Fran, because I don't, when I click on Jonas, I don't have this option like make him.
You still have the option now. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Go away. Okay. Nice. All right. So for the TypeScript template, it's basically done as it stands right now. I did find a few more bugs after I requested a review, but that should have been fixed now. And that's basically the same with the .NET version. I still have to lay out some more in the README file and what the PR should solve and what's missing. But other than that, it's more or less ready. I do have some questions in regards to in the .NET version or in the .NET template. It needs some binaries to operate fully, and I'm unsure if it's possible to, if these binary files of the Nets client should be included when generated, or if it's even possible to do something like dependencies in Node. So I'm a bit unsure how to do that. And that requires a bit of research before I can conclude what's best.
Can I ask you what these binaries are for?
It's for the for the TypeScript version, you just declare which dependencies you want, and then you just npm install, and then it takes care of everything. But in .NET, it's a little bit different because, as I can see it, it needs to have the binaries in place. It can't do the same process.
You can actually. There are package managers for this. Well, Microsoft have kind of inevitably been promoting this ecosystem for a while. I can send you around some links because there are places now that you can publish decent .NET ones. So as per always, nothing is as easy as it is with JS, but it'd be good to get with the standard practice on .NET.
Perfect. Yeah, please do, because that's one of the issues I have at the moment. Figuring out how to do these dependencies.
Yeah, it's a bit more like pardon me, Maven or Gradle with Java land more than npm. So you have to actually run a process yourself, but you can just pull them.
Okay, perfect. So I can just declare them, and then when the other users open these generated clients, they install it basically, right?
That is the idea. Yes, we can basically commit to using certain dependency managers and then just sub-module it if necessary.
Okay. Perfect.
But it does depend which ones we're actually willing to use. Also, hi, I'm Ben. I keep meaning to turn up to these, but this is a clash with one of my team meetings. But I'm now going to try and turn up more often.
I was wondering, Jonas, maybe you want to share this link to the pull request on the chat. So yeah, so Ben can have a look at it as well. I mean, Ben and other people.
Yes, Tom from my team should also be joining these more often. I basically said, no, this is now time you have aside to go to all these meetings because they're important.
So yeah, just the link for the .NET pull request.
Thank you very much.
So yeah. Yeah, perfect. So that's one of the issues out of the way. What is left? So for the bindings, I mean, it's pretty temporary at the moment because we're still waiting on not status updates, but for the request reply feature for the spec to be solved somehow. So at the moment it's temporary with this is type of channel, whether it's a request reply or pops up. And then I use this request reply channel binding to specify whether it should operate as a request or a reply, basically. But yeah, this is temporary until we get the other issue solved. So
by temporary, you mean that this is already working, but
this is working, yeah.
Will probably be removed in the future, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So
temporary in the means of we're still waiting on some other issues to be solved before we can actually do this properly. What's it called? Correctly. But
how do you feel about releasing this binding as version 1.0? Because
yeah, exactly.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah, I was.
Isn't it a little bit premature, maybe?
Yep.
To probably you want to have something like 0 point something and test it a little bit more. I mean, let people test it a little bit more, and then it's okay if it's stable, we can just release, make another change to the version only without changing anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if we couple these changes to the version as well, if something goes wrong, then we'll have to release version 2, right? So that's why.
Yep,
Brief query because I missed start of this, and I do apologize for that. NATS. Which particular acronym are we using for NAT? Is NATS replying to in this case? Because I'm going back to traversal things right now in my mind. So
yeah, NATS is basically just an what's it called? It's an it's a protocol in the same base as Kafka or MQT.
Oh, okay, cool. So that's unfortunate naming. NATS traversal is when you go through someone's router and you go to a different subnet thing. So that's every time I see it on a networking thing, I'm like, wait, what? So I was looking at it going, I see no traversal mechanics here. I see no IP address fiddling.
It's not NAT traversal yet.
As well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there were some. You had some comments, Fran, about the TypeScript in regards to the wildcards use.
Yeah. The thing is that if I remember well, let me just open this in my computer because I can't really see it well. This wasn't the TypeScript one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I mean here is that you were defining like the asterisk actually means a wildcard, right?
Mm.
But we should be careful with this because the channel name is actually a URL, right? And it's possible to include an asterisk in the URL, right? So my URL can contain asterisk, and I might not mean a wildcard. I might mean an asterisk. And why I'm saying that is I know that in Nat's specific case might not be that meaning, but the idea behind the AsyncAPI is that we can use the same file over time, right, with different protocols. So we don't have to redefine the same channel for another protocol.
This is actually a serious one because this came up very hard in my use case recently.
Yeah.
Wildcards is the one thing I really mean to bring up because we need an async specification of a wildcard character, which can then be translated per protocol. Because
we do have
MQTT
it.
is one.
So we do have it. We have the parameters is actually that, right? So having, like I was commenting on this issue. Maybe you want to, Jonas, maybe you want to do the font size a little bit bigger.
Oh yeah.
Properly.
Better?
Oh, that's much better. Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is that I was saying that maybe you can. So people, if people want to use a wildcard, you can use a parameter, right? Which is can be called rest or wildcard or whatever you want to call it, right? Like the rest of the channel, right, or whatever. And also, how does a wildcard apply to the publish operation, for instance, right? So if I'm publishing a message, not to the publish operation, but when publishing, right? When you want to send a message to a channel, if the channel contains a wildcard, how does that work? Is it going to publish to all the channels that match this wildcard, this wildcard, or is it not going to work? Because like in some systems, like for instance in RabbitMQ with AsyncAPI and all this stuff, you also and also MQTT, you can have wildcards, but only for subscribing, right? When you want to publish, if you include a wildcard, it will not mean what you think it will do, right? Like it will not be used as a wildcard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying that maybe that's why we introduce parameters. So you can define, for instance, default values, schema that is will be matching, and all these things, right? That's maybe if you think it makes sense, something that we can add on the spec on the future. And it kind of, it was there, but I removed it because it wasn't clear before I launched version 2. I had on the parameters, you could specify what type of wildcard it was. Like you could say if it's a wildcard, that spans among across different levels of the channel name, like levels understood as how can I explain this? Like levels are, the channel names are URLs and they are divided by slash, right? Yeah. So let's say that each slash is a new level of the channel name. So how long, how long does it span, the wildcard? Is it only one level? Is it multi-level?
Do we not have a separate wildcard per level then?
Exactly, because and also because you may not know in advance. Like you want to have, you want to subscribe to all the channel names that start like this, but I don't know what. Maybe
so we don't actually know if they're hierarchical or not. Is the problem? We don't know if they actually come from a tree or if they're just flat.
Correct. So in protocols who are who have hierarchical topics, you can apply it. In protocols who don't have that, you replace the slash with whatever else, or you just leave the slash, but it will mean exactly that, the slash. It will not have any meaning, right? So it was removed because of that. It wasn't clear. It was And now that you're adding this to this specific use case, if you think about it, you are what you're doing here is that you're interpreting the spec in a specific in a special way, just for this template, right?
Yeah.
And if tomorrow I want to switch from TypeScript Nats to Node.js MQTT, the AsyncAPI files will remain the same. At least whatever is not in the bindings will remain the same, right? The bindings can change, of course. It's specific to the protocol, but the rest will remain the same, and will mean the same across any language or protocol, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's mainly that, and the other use case is that we want to have a single AsyncAPI file for two different channels, two different communication channels, not channels as in AsyncAPI, two different protocols. Like I want to publish an HTTP API, public API, and people can subscribe via servers and events. And I also offer a Kafka channel, right? So people can subscribe to the same API via different protocols, or one can be NATs and the other one can be servers and events, and the core of the specs will mean the same for both, right? Otherwise, we're starting to tweak the spec for specific use cases, and it can become a mess over time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep this with the parameters basically, and then I'm gonna remove this. Maybe add another section about why we do it with parameters. But yeah.
Yeah, if you really need that you're missing something, like you need to do something that is not possible yet, let's create an issue in the spec so we can improve the spec over time.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. I don't know if there was anything else. Lucas, I can't remember if you implemented anything in regards to Boolean template parameters. So it's possible to just do this. Oh, if you can see.
You mean in generator? Or?
Yeah, exactly, in generator. Instead that you have to like do this.
No, you still have to do this, like
okay.
Explicitly right through. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is the Boolean parameters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this something we want in long term? I'm not even sure it's possible with the param.
We had the conversation for that, right? Like that maybe this can be specified on the package.json of the template. You have a list of parameters, right? And will be great to add the type of the parameter there, right? You know what I mean?
Just a quick question, because it just came to mind. Something I was testing something earlier this week, or last week, in fact. So, do we have a way to specify the size of said bool or said int?
For what, sir?
The size of it's 64-bit versus 32-bit. It mattered because I was trying to read on some microcontroller, and I started having. I was not sure what size of ints or bools I was getting out the other side.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
So,
with the size of the...
so the spec specifies a certain parameter as an integer, right? And with MQTT, it's just a binary blob I'm getting back. So I need to. So on my end, how do I know if it's a 32-bit integer or 64-bit integer?
Yeah, just 1 sec, Ben, because I think Jonas wasn't. Yeah, he didn't finish with the.
Sorry, it's an unrelated thing. I just every
time I see type to this, yeah.
No, it's not really. It's just I saw Boolean and I was like, wait, what size of Boolean?
No. So it's the topic we're now discussing. It's like the generator that we use for generating docs or code.
Oh, no worries then. No worries.
CLI allows you to pass parameters, and you can specify different values for those parameters.
Okay, sorry, I must have missed that a little bit. I do apologize.
No worries. So yeah, there's an open issue on generator. So we had a discussion on Slack, and there's an open issue on generator that we should definitely improve the things about how we define parameters in the configuration. So we can even specify a type, or even we mentioned that it would be even nice that you can specify a schema. But yeah, that's not yet doable with generator, right? So
yeah.
So that's the thing. In CLI you have only string, right? So then the problem is that you can use generator also as a library. So you don't pass strings. So that's a tricky thing. So we first need to somehow introduce those types that you specify explicitly what type of data you expect, and then we can do some magic. And now, unfortunately, you have to do the equals true.
Yeah. All right. Perfect.
Yeah. Actually, the CLI will be doing this magic, right? Like
yeah, but it has to have this information, right?
Exactly. To know if it will be cast into a Boolean or not, right?
All right. I don't think there's any other questions in regards to this, unless you have anything, any of you. So this should be changed to 0.1 in the bindings. And then I remove this parameter asterisk. And
maybe 0.2, right? Because 0.1 was already there, right?
It hasn't been released yet, though.
Well, I mean, we don't have releases on bindings, so yeah, my release, I mean, tagging this as adding the version number there, right? We don't have releases on bindings yet, so yeah.
So shouldn't this just be 0.1?
It was 0.1, right?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Okay.
But if you add,
even though there's nothing there.
Yeah, exactly. So 0.1 was there's nothing. 0.2 there's something, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's yours.
That's why. Yep. That's why I was saying.
Yeah, that's all I got, I think.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Yeah. No,
so we're merging those, right? Like we're merging the TypeScript then, if it's ready.
If it's ready.
Yeah, it all depends on how. If you want testing for it first, or do you want, like, how sure do you want to be that it actually works in every case, basically?
So honestly, if you think this is good enough, the templates, I will go for it. I will merge them, because the bigger this pull request gets, the less people will have the mood to look at it, right?
Yeah.
So I will just merge it, and if something fails, we start the usual creating issues and fix them, and right. Otherwise, this is a big ball of mud that nobody wants to look at, right?
Yep. True.
So yeah.
And we will anyway release it as 0.1, right?
Yeah, exactly. So no worries. It's just experimental. So.
Did you add the release pipelines, the GitHub actions to?
Oh yeah, I actually did that yesterday for both templates. So all it's missing is basically the security keys. Okay. For the release.
Will then the feed with exclamation mark will create a 1.0?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
So exclamation mark means it's a major release.
Yeah.
But it's a first release anyway, and I'm not sure if by default it's not going to do 1.0. So the safest would be if you mark those two initial pull requests as CHOR, CHOR. I hope I didn't pronounce it in the wrong way.
I was actually thinking about the other one.
And
I think you're gonna do it when you gotta do the merge.
Yeah.
Then you can do it probably.
Okay, so we're just the initial release. I think we're just gonna do manually. It's me or Fran, probably me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let me just. Yeah. I'm gonna tag you as soon as I'm just gonna look through it real quick before the final release, and then I'll
just
take
ping
you
me
guys
when you're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Because we also need to add those topics to the repo so it's visible on the list of the templates. Also update the generator README with the list of the official templates.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how can I give back the
what do you want to do?
I want to get back the. Oh, I'm just co-host.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. I already did it, so no worries.
Perfect.
So, up next.
So Ben, are we going now with topic from Paul, or Ben? Do you want to finish your question that you had about the integer size?
Oh, that's kind of like a brief question, I suppose. Sorry, it was a bit of every now and again, your brain latches onto something and you go, must ask that question now because it's been burning in my brain for a few weeks. I suppose it's for a brief one. Is like, particularly with the microcontroller use case, it becomes quite imperative to know what types we're sending around, because implicitly, like, people tend to use, particularly with these things, is you get 64-bit integers, 64-bit floats out of like most libraries on PCs these days, just because of native types. Particularly with JS, because everything's a 64-bit double. It's all a double behind the scenes. So when you start sending them over the wire to a microcontroller, particularly over MQTT, because it's just a binary blob, it becomes imperative to know the actual bit width of what you're sending. So, like, do we have a decent way to? Because we have types already, and they're really useful, but it's a bit hard when you're in C and you don't want to have bits overrunning.
So you mean on the message, right? On the message definition?
Yeah. So like on the actual spec definition, like, so say I'm sending these fields.
So just real quick, because that's unrelated to
very quickly. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So what we're doing on the schemas on AsyncAPI is we're using JSON schema. So whatever is possible in JSON schema, it's possible on AsyncAPI.
Okay,
right?
so it just is JSON schema, right?
So if you look at the JSON schema specification, you will see there are ways to specify this. There are ways to specify numeric types, let's say. And we're using version 7.0 of JSON schema. And there's ways, sorry, it's not, here it's actually on the format, I think. So JSON schema format. Numbers. Yeah, let me just briefly check for it and data. Can't find it now, but if I find it, I'll let you know. But there are ways to I think, or I remember there are ways on JSON schema to specify the type of number it is, right? So you want to know exactly what type of integer it is, right?
That's pretty much it. I want to be able to say assigned, unsigned, or something else.
So there's this. I'll have to check, because I think JSON schema 8, which is not, we call it 8, but it's not 8.
Okay, cool, got it. Well, I'm distracted enough, so I'll take it offline.
Yeah, let's just chat about it offline, maybe on the Slack channel. And yeah, I'm saying because Paul is waiting for the topic he brought to.
No worries. That's it's a distraction. I'll take it offline.
So yeah, yes, maybe Paul, you said that. Let me host. I'm not able to share my screen. Why? I made you host.
I made you co-host now.
Yeah, and I think I made you host instead of co-host. This is
more
broken.
power. That's cool.
Yeah, that's not always cool.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah, so comment from Paul is that, yeah, it's about the view properties, right? So let me just go to the issue. Love to make just a point here that just as a reminder that discussion is still open, but I guess the discussion is not so much about adding or not adding the view property, but how do we solve this publish subscribe confusion, right? That's confusing many people, right? So
and that's what prompted my question. I was chatting to a customer and they had it completely the wrong way around, and I had to go, no,
exactly.
That's not what the spec says.
This is confusing many people. So even myself, sometimes when I'm writing the spec, it's like, oh no, it's the other way around. So depending on what I'm doing, if I'm writing the spec from the consumer, let's say consumer point of view, like it's not my API, I didn't create that, then it's easy for me to think about it like, what can I do with this, right? But if I'm the author of and I haven't created the code yet, and I want to write the spec to generate the code, for instance, then it's like, you know, your brain is completely flips, and it's like, what? Doesn't make sense at all, right? So yeah, it's tricky. It's something that we have to solve. But I added here like explanation why I think this is this is not a good idea. I mean, it's a good idea as a starting point of the discussion, but why I think this is gonna introduce more confusion, right? Like this view provider or view client, and it's because of the side effects, right? The side effects that this is gonna create on the rest of the spec, right? Because we are adding a flag here that is not constrained to the info object. It's a flag that we add here that is gonna condition how we see the rest of the things in the spec, and especially the bindings. So one of the examples that I find pretty often is, for instance, with the HTTP binding, depending on this value, when we have the HTTP binding on a channel, on a publish operation, for instance, sometimes it will mean a request, sometimes it will mean a response, depending on the value of the view flag, right? So yeah, and that will be coupling the definition of the HTTP binding to the value of this flag, right? Which is completely unrelated to the HTTP binding, right? Or any other binding. Okay. So yeah, I was elaborating here a little bit more, like what's the purpose here in the end? Like I know that the issue is called add a view property to the info section to change the perspective of subscribe and publish operation. But I'm thankful for Michael that he created this issue that's creating a great discussion. But this issue title itself, it's implying a problem and a solution, right? Together, like we have this confusion with publish and subscribe point of view, and here's the solution, which is great because he's proposing a solution, right? The thing is that I think now the real purpose of this issue is more on how do we solve this? How do we solve this? Because view is not really an option, because it's going to add more confusion to the rest of the spec, to the other parts. So how it is now? I think the current state of this is we need to come up with another idea on how to solve this, right? I've been playing a little bit, playing is not the word, but yeah, I've been like trying to come up with a different solution, but that's going to involve more than just adding a flag, because I think, and I think I said it here, I think this problem is not really about publish and subscribe. I think this problem is actually reflecting a more intrinsic and deeper and intrinsic problem of the spec, like of the design of the spec as it is right now. And if I someday find time to redo something that I did in the past and I completely lost, I don't know why, is that I once dedicated some time to highlight the lines of the spec in different colors depending on where they belong. Like I'll explain that. So for instance, real quick, for instance, this first line is just for the spec to know which version it is. But for instance, this is information about the application, right? The application, not meaning the API, but the application, the code, the program, right? This is information about the API. It's not information about the application. This is information, the verb, publish or subscribe, is information about the application, what the application is doing to this API, to this interface. Let's say I'm subscribing to this or I'm publishing to this, but it's specific to this application, right? To the user management service application. If we go to another place, to another application, another AsyncAPI file, everything, I mean, like everything that's related to the API, like channels, user register, even the description of the channel will remain the same, but the version, but the verb will be the opposite, will be published or maybe published, right? So what I'm saying is that we're mixing, and also if we get deeper, like message is actually part of the API, not the application. So if you see, this is application, API, application, API. So it's all mixed together. So the concepts of interfaces and behaviors of the application, what the application is doing to this interface, is completely mixed, and that's why it's impossible to break, right? That's why you have to go to another. Whenever you have two APIs, one is publishing and the other one is subscribing, that's why you can't reuse the whole channel, right? You can't, because the whole channel is containing the intent of this specific application in regards to this channel. So in my opinion, I think this requires to get to extract this intent, if it's published or if it's subscribed, to extract it from the channel definition and put it somewhere else, like somewhere else in the spec, probably in the root level or in a operations object or whatever. But we need to first decouple these things, right? To be able to remove the coupling, let's say. And once we have decoupled, we can then create different verbs. Like, I want you to see, I want you to understand that I'm subscribing to this as a client, or I'm publishing to this broker as a client, or I am the provider, if you want, and I'm publishing to the broker, or I'm subscribing to the broker, right? We can then move these definitions, these different verbs, to another object, but that will require a new major version of the spec, right? Because it's a break and change. So, but again, like I said here, I think somewhere somewhere in this thread, I may find it. It's like I said here, is that we shouldn't be afraid of releasing version 3. of the spec, and yeah, it's somewhere. I don't know where it is, but yeah, it's here. It's actually, yeah. So I think this problem is important enough to create more than a band-aid, and it deserves an elegant solution that will fix it once and for all, and it doesn't create more confusion. And if we have to release version 3, we'll release version 3, right? And we'll release all the tooling we need, anyone will need to migrate from version 2 to version 3, right? We'll make it easy to move to the new version. Also, we'll keep supporting version 2, so there's no need to be afraid about that. But whoever wants to start using the new version and a new way of defining these things can be moving to version 3, right? So that's, I mean, that's my opinion. I'm happy to reconsider this if there's another solution. I couldn't think of another solution that will not create side effects like the view property, right? It's a complicated. It's a complex. It's a complex problem to solve without really addressing the intrinsic problem of the spec right now, which is like everything is super mixed, right? Application or behavior and interface are completely mixed, and that's why it's super difficult to, whatever you do, even if we change the meaning of publish and subscribe, there will be other people who will be confused, right? So there will always be someone confused. So
yeah, no, I agree, and it's complex because it's simple, right? It really should be simple, but it's not, which I think is the issue. And I see what you're saying. I think if they were decoupled, obviously then you could get some reuse from them. You could do a reference between them, I assume, so that that wouldn't be such an overhead. It's just one of those things that when I speak to people, the longer it goes on, the more difficult it's going to be to get them to change their mentality and unwind.
Yep, I agree. So one kind of related to that, related and not related, is we were thinking about establishing a like a release cadence for the spec, like for instance, making it mandatory for us to release a new version every 6 months, independently if it's major version, minor version, or a patch or whatever. Like every 6 months, people will have a new version of the spec, and of course, we'll have, 6 months or whatever other amount of time we'll have to check, but I don't want to commit to 6 months now. But like every X months, we release a new version and we adapt the tooling in advance, and we make changes in the spec first, and then we communicate what's going to be the new version, so tooling can also adapt. Other people's tooling can adapt, and yeah, so to keep moving the spec and fixing it, because like exactly for what you said, like the longer it stays here, the bigger the problem is, right? Because it's confusing more people. So we'll love to get this in the future. We'll love to get this type of problem solved in less than these X months, right? Even if it means releasing a new major version. Like with JSON schema, you have JSON schema draft 4, 5, 6, 7, actually 5 now, but you have 6, 7, 8 as a last one. And you still have people on draft 4, of course. But yeah, for those who want to do the new cool stuff that you couldn't do with version 4, they can upgrade. So again, it doesn't mean that we will not be maintaining this version 2 of the spec, but yeah, we can keep moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. No, I spoke to a customer who was confused, and then I also got an email saying the issue had gone stale. I saw it was reopened, but it's like, okay. I wonder what's going on with that issue, you know?
Yeah. No, I can tell you it's not stale. We're just leaving like some decent amount of time for people to jump in, especially the summer was in the middle, to jump in and propose new solutions or propose other ways to fix it. And also because we are like full of work, like we cannot handle everything, right? And also, yeah, so just to give some time. And once we left some time, and once we have time ourselves to work on it, or someone wants to jump in and work on it, on a different solution, we're happy to do it and happy to address it. But yeah, we should be close to. We're actually close to be working on this, and many other stuff. And when I say close, is like before the end of the year for sure. So
hey, you don't have to explain to me. I work for companies where priorities change all the time.
Yeah,
it's like
no.
When has it been released? It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, just to make it clear for those who are watching the recording, right? It's just that we'll be addressing this problem, but yeah, this is a spec. We need to be careful with whatever changes we do, right?
Sure.
Because it will impact many people.
And anyway, this issue should be protected from the statebot. So I guess you cannot just the label keep open and so the statebot doesn't touch it, because it's intentional that it's gonna take some time. Oh, we don't have. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for the comment. So yeah. So I hope this provides some light on the status of this issue. We're gonna solve it one day. We're gonna think back and say like, hey, remember those times. but in the meantime, we'll have to gather opinions from different people, right? And yeah.
Sure.
Or we'll just revert to 1.0, right? And change the meaning of the verbs.
Which actually no. That's the problem. That's the same meaning as in 1.0. We didn't change it. I wanted to change it, and then because it was creating a lot of problem, I said like, okay, let's be conservative. Let's keep the same meaning as in 1.0. And yeah, but almost nobody was using 1.0, so that's why we didn't have so many noise.
All right. Well, thanks. I understand, and I'll continue to educate the customers into the right way of using it in the meantime, right?
In the meantime, yeah, thanks for that. But in the meantime, the only way we have for that is just to tell people that look, this is the way it is now. We are all aware that this is a mess. Like, this is super confusing, and we're gonna address it. So yeah, sooner than later, this is gonna be fixed. And
cool. Thank you.
There will be new problems.
Optimistic.
No, it's reality, man. I'm happy to have new problems every time. It means it's moving forward.
Okay, then 1 hour passed. All topics covered. Anything else in last 1 minute? So thanks a lot for joining, and see you in 2 weeks or on our Hacktoberfest office hours in 1 week.
Yeah. Yeah, join us.
All right, guys.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.